next remotely. Last year we got Sarah to come in person, but this year our technicians said she can come in remotely. So thank you, Sarah. She is a business development manager at May Mobility with 6 years of direct autonomous vehicle experience, working with municipalities, universities, state departments of transportation, creating programs to actually get these things on the road in demonstration projects. So Sarah.
Thank you very much. All right. Well, a couple of things before I really get started. First of all, just thank you for allowing me to be a part of this and, join the conversation again. 6 years doesn't sound like a lot of experience, but in the autonomous world, I'm going to contradict myself a little bit, and I'm going to say in the autonomous world, it is a long time. Here in a minute, I'm going to talk about the history of autonomous, where it contradicts that is really not a whole lot of time. But for operation, definitely active in involvement on road type of services, it is. So thank you again for allowing me to be a part of it. As you can imagine, I love what I do. It is a very exciting time and a very exciting place to be in. And I could talk all day, but I know that I stand between you guys and lunch, so I will not do that today. I also wanted to speak to something that Rick had mentioned. When you talk about fear and autonomous vehicles, I tell my son every day, fear is actually a good thing. We think of fear as being something that's bad and negative, but fear is what really drives us forward and allows us to work and create and overcome. If we succumbed to the fear that we have, we would accomplish nothing. So I encourage you, if you have that fear of autonomous vehicles, definitely don't succumb to it. Take that chance, take that ride, and really experience what it's all about, because I think you'll find that it's actually not as scary as you may think. So I wanted to start out today a little bit differently, sharing a little bit about the history of AVs. So, we talk about how AVs are new and AVs are new technology, but believe it or not, they've actually been in development for more than 50 years. Back in the 1960s, early experiments began, of course, being mostly theoretical, all in controlled environments. They didn't go very far at the time, but it started the conversation, and it really got people thinking about what could happen, what the future could look like. When it came to the 80s and the 90s, places like Carnegie Mellon and Mercedes-Benz created initial prototypes that worked to expand some of that theoretical thinking. And then in the early 2000s, DARPA, the U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, try to say that 3 times fast, actually started hosting competitions to help push AV technology forward. Our co-founder and CEO was actually one of the winners of one of the DARPA challenges in those early years, and fueled his passion for autonomy even more. Fast forward to the 2010s, and companies and automakers like Google with Waymo, Tesla, GM, Ford, all began serious investments in AVs and AV technology. Things like adaptive cruise control, lane assist, and some of the other ADAS type of systems. So not the autonomous driving specifically that we may talk about today, because there is a difference between assisted driving and autonomous driving. But they started to create some of that and introduce that to the public and into the vehicles that we see today. All of this work then has, of course, led to a much higher interest in AVs over the last, say, 10 years. Places like Mobileye and Easy Mile, Navia, May Mobility, all of these different companies started joining the market. Of course, each company has kind of various applications for what their products and technology do. Everything from robo-taxis to long-haul trucking, shuttles, and trolley services, package delivery, transit, and campus integration. So lots of different applications, lots of different approaches. At May, we actually joined the autonomous revolution in 2017. And since that time, we've been able to give more than 450,000 rides on public roads in mixed traffic in real world scenarios. So really helping to advance the experience and just the education of what autonomous technology is all about. We've opened more than 11 cities across the US and Japan, and we continue to expand that as well. Another thing that we've really focused on is, this is great technology. It's cool, it's fun, it's unique, but what does it mean for economics? And we've been able to really show that, there is positive gross margins at some of our sites, most of our sites, all of our sites operating today. So it's not just about the cool technology, but it is, where the world is going as far as from an economic standpoint. How can we actually operate this type of technology and provide cost savings for our cities, our transit agencies, and essentially the people that are using this type of service. Last year, we launched our very first completely driverless program down in Peachtree Corners, Georgia, that operates in kind of the city center and a small business park, and provides service for employees and visitors to that area as well. So that is a completely driverless, meaning there is not a safety operator in the vehicle. Most of our other programs and all of our programs start with an operator in the vehicle. But this one actually is without an operator in the vehicle, and is a fantastic program that we've had a lot of success with. At May, we actually do provide a full turnkey service. So we provide not only the vehicles, but we do community engagement. We do all of the remote monitoring. We share data with cities and agencies and governmental entities that this data can help to move their own technology and research forward as well. For our programs, when we deploy a program, we actually open an office locally. We hire from the local community. The program that we have includes our vehicle, the technology, the insurance, the maintenance, the operation of the vehicle. So it is a full turnkey program. Every company is a little bit different when it comes to that, but that is how we handle that type of a service. Right now, the platform that we're using is a Toyota Sienna Autonomous, as seen here. So Toyota has been an investor in May for quite some time now. They have worked with us so that we can integrate our technology directly into this vehicle. As you can see in this picture here, when Toyota manufactures this vehicle for us, it's a little bit different than the Sienna that you can buy off the lot, of course. It is manufactured in a way that all of the casings for the hardware that we require to operate that vehicle are built directly into the vehicle itself from the manufacturer level. That was really important to us from a safety standpoint. And also from a scalability standpoint. This vehicle is a drive-by-wire vehicle, so it really allows our technology to integrate directly into the system of the vehicle itself. So we upfit this vehicle then with the sensors and the autonomous systems that you see. The sensors consist of LiDAR, camera, radar, all of the things that we require to see the environment that we're working in and operate safely and effectively in that. And then it's run through our autonomous system, which is a patented system through May Mobility called MPDM, or multi-policy decision making. And essentially what that does, is that it gives our vehicle an imagination. With MPDM, it provides computing 10,000 times faster, real time versus humans. So as this vehicle is operating, it is running more than 1,000 in-vehicle simulations per second. These simulations take into consideration what's happening with the vehicles around them, what some of the predictions are for how those vehicles will handle different situations. It takes into consideration the velocity at which vehicles around them are moving, all of the structures. And essentially what it does is it evaluates all of these thousands of simulations per second, and then selects an action that is going to provide the most safety, comfort, and predictability for the decision of the actual driving that that vehicle will do. So this is a really unique way of looking at it. It is not just a rules-based system that says when the light is red, we stop, when it's green, it goes. It takes into consideration much more than that and really determines the different activities that could happen before it makes a decision. So much like a human does, it is predicting what each road agent will do around them so that it can make that best decision. And the way that that works best for us is that it allows us to then handle situations the first time that it encounters them, because it already knows and has learned what the majority of things are that happen. So not just new cases, but the history of the different actions that have happened on the roadway that it's seen as well. So it's consistently learning and evolving, and then being able to respond to all of those things. We do also have kind of behind the scenes teleassist. This is very different than remote operation. We do not remote control or remotely drive any of our vehicles, but instead it allows the vehicle to be monitored at all times. And if it encounters a complex or challenging road scenario that the vehicle is not 100% sure what to do or how to handle that, it can then send a ping to that remote operator that says, hey, there's this delivery truck in my lane. I want to cross the yellow line, but I know I'm not supposed to. All of my sensors say that it is safe because I can see what is in the lanes moving forward, but I need to know that that's acceptable. And then our operator can, allow that vehicle to resume operations and make that decision. So not operated remotely. We're very, very sensitive to cybersecurity and things like that. So we allow that all of the actual operation to be handled at the vehicle level. As far as some of the use cases, you can see that we operate kind of all over the country, not just in the warm, flat locations where autonomous technology is best operated, but we challenge ourselves to operate in the most complex environments. We operate up in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, where they see a lot of snow. It's very, very cold. I had to go and do some programs up there, and it was freezing in February. So definitely challenging ourselves for that. Also down in places like Sun City, Arizona, where the heat can take a toll on some of the vehicles and the computing systems as well. All types of environmental types of situations, as well as political climates too. You know, the drive for autonomous technology and the appetite for that is different in each area. And so, you know, having this experience in a number of different locations has been really beneficial to us. The types of use cases that we work with also vary. In places like Arlington, Texas and Miami, Florida, we're integrated directly into their existing transportation services. We are just another arm of public transit for those locations. Out in Contra Costa, California, Martinez, California, we work to provide medical rides to the VA hospital and some of the other medical facilities there. Up in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, our program is primarily used by seniors and people that have wheelchair needs. They had a gap in transportation availability there, and it really solves a need for them that they were desperately seeking. So as you can see, a lot of different types of use cases, whether it be rural, whether it be urban, like in Ann Arbor, or whether it just be, you know, connecting into existing transit services. There is no one way only, or one right answer and one wrong answer. We definitely customize each program for the communities that we're working in to fit the needs that they have. So I know, one of the questions that we talked a little bit about is, how do places prepare as you as a state or a city or an agency or a campus start to think about what this technology can do for you and how to do it? How do we best prepare? And, the answer is really interesting. Um, as of today, we're seeing that, deploying AVs is not just something that people are piloting anymore. People all across the world are really investing in the implementation of these programs, and they're no longer looking at them as exploratory pilots. As it's been said a couple of times, AVs are here, they are real, and they are operating. They're operating successfully in a lot of places. And so, it's really about finding the real solutions to transportation challenges that you have. How do you do that? One of the best ways, and probably one of the first steps that have to be taken, I shouldn't say have to be taken, but is most beneficial for setting yourself up for success, is around the policy. As has already been mentioned, creating policy, especially at the state level, to promote testing, to provide validation and safe operations of AVs is really key. We've seen a lot of states that have created connected and autonomous working group programs to really focus on what that looks like in their state, what they want to see, what their communities want to see, and how best they can create policy, because there is not a federally mandated policy for everyone everywhere, but how they can do that within their own state in a way that not only hits their goals and initiatives, but also makes people feel comfortable and provides, the insight and the research that is required for that. Number two on this list, but honestly, in my mind, is number one, is understanding and setting the right expectations. This technology is amazing in specific environments. There are other capabilities that are still evolving. We don't have answers for every single scenario yet. And, a lot of times when you go into new programs, people will ask a million questions and they want answers to every one of those questions. And the truth is, it's not quite there yet. In certain situations, we can answer all of those questions. We can operate perfectly in all of their particular situations. But in other places, there are still things that have to be explored. And so knowing what those limitations are, knowing what those capabilities are, and being able to mesh them together so that you have a clear understanding of what it would look like in your community and where it's best to start those programs is really key, so that you're not setting yourself up for a situation where it's not going to operate as you would like it to, and then the project doesn't go as well, or people aren't as excited, or they don't see it running as well as it should. And so really setting those expectations is very important. Once you've done that, identifying the areas that AV tech can best be used and how it can scale. There's nothing wrong with creating a phased approach, starting where it works perfectly, and then helping to introduce some of the areas where we may still need to use the operator in the vehicle to handle certain situations as the technology learns and grows. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And we're willing to do that. So, that would be kind of number three in looking at how to set up for success. And then lastly, and just as important as all of the rest, is engaging with the communities about the technology and the benefits that it can bring. I can't say enough how community engagement changes the perception and really helps. The more education that folks have, the more comfort level they will gain. And so engaging with them, talking about it is so very important. I know that, we have a lot of questions, and we have a question and answer session coming up, but I wanted to address a couple of the most commonly asked questions. We get a lot of questions around funding. How do we fund the program? And just like every use case is unique, every funding is unique as well. There's no right or wrong way. There's no one answer. We have done a lot of different types of funding programs in the past, everything from cities or transit agencies using their own operational funds to federal and state grant programs, innovation grant programs, private investors. There are a lot of ways that these programs can be funded. Some of them just take a little more searching than others and a little bit more engagement than others. The next question we get a lot is, how do we get people to adopt or become comfortable with it? And I go back to that engagement. Education and engagement equals excitement, and it is real. The more people that I have had come and ride our vehicles and experience what the technology can do, the more they've come out of those vehicles with more questions and, more interest on, okay, this was really great. I noticed that it did this while we were on the road, or I noticed that it did that while we were on the road. While I was in the vehicle, I thought of this situation in my own community where this could be used. So, the more those types of conversations you can have definitely is what is going to build and grow that excitement. And once you can kind of create the goals and initiatives that are right for you, then you just have to talk about it. You have to research it and you have to experience it. And I think all of the work that's already been being done there is really great. Rick and his team are doing some fantastic things as well. And all of that is leading to this adoption. And we just have to, spread it around. And then the last question, kind of speaks to something that I already mentioned. It's something that we get a lot of questions on is, well, what about the weather or these emergency vehicles or rural environments? Again, all great questions. Some we have the answers for today, and we are operating in those situations and we're handling them perfectly. Others we're still learning and we're still developing solutions for those. But keep in mind that while that's happening, those are all vehicles that are being operated or being attended with an operator in the vehicle. So it's not something where we're sending this vehicle off and we're saying, okay, we don't have anybody in this vehicle and we're going to let it figure it out. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's fine if we, make a mistake. That's not the case. Safety is the main priority and the main focus. And so we utilize the tools that we have with those safety operators in the vehicle as that vehicle learns. And the more situations that we can introduce the vehicle to safely with that operator there to handle those situations and allow us on the back end to then use those for learning, the more use cases that we're able to accomplish down the road through that learning. So with all of that, I will leave that all with you. I'm sure there are a lot of questions, but I also know lunch is coming. So I will stop there and turn it back over to the team.